My name is Solitaire Townsend. I am the co-founder and chief solutionist of Futerra. Thank you for the shushing. Yes, shush, everybody. People are very good at being told what to do in a British accent. I am the co-founder and chief solutionist of Futerra. Futerra is one of the 2 partner organizations who have created Solutions House, so Futerra and the Exponential Roadmap. And we're also incredibly grateful to be partnering with the Sustainable Entertainment Alliance. But I'm actually standing here right now with a different hat on, because I'm also trustee of the Futerra Solutions Union. The Futerra Solutions Union is a new non-profit which is designed to engage in culture for change. And one of the things which we have transferred from our knowledge of Futerra, the agency and the company, to being a non-profit is the commercial imperative. Now, we've got a lot of content today and tomorrow and yesterday, which is about how sustainability can be exciting, how sustainability can be engaging, how sustainability can make a difference. But we also need to talk about the fact that when we're thinking about the entertainment industry, when we're thinking about climate, when we're thinking about brands, we also want to talk about the money. Sam, do you want to say a word before I start talking us through the guide?
Sure. So just a quick introduction. I am the executive director of the Sustainable Entertainment Alliance. We're so excited to be here at Solutions House today, and thank you to Solly and the whole team for putting this on. We are an industry coalition of studios and streamers and other industry stakeholders working to support sustainability both on set and on screen. And we are delighted to have partnered with Solly and her team to sort of put this guide together and explore all of these exciting things.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to just take us through very quickly. Sam can take a seat.
Great.
I'm going to take us through very quickly a piece of insight that we're actually launching today. So when we sat down and thought about the relationship between brands and entertainment and sustainability, we're like, there's so much potential here. We just heard it with this incredible panel about how athleticism and sport can tell a different story. But we also realized that there was a huge potential here for commercial partnership and for ways in which we can actually collectively make money out of selling sustainability. So this new report that we're launching today, Unlocking the Commercial Opportunity of Sustainability Relevant Content, is just some first thoughts. Don't worry, at the end of what I'm showing you, there is a QR code so you can download the report. These are some first thoughts about how brands who have got this imperative to engage with their consumers and the entertainment industry, who has an imperative to engage with their audiences, can come together in a beautiful sustainability partnership in order to be able to actually drive change. This is not, I'm actually showing you actual content from the report rather than a beautiful slide deck. So I'm just going to run through it very quickly. We're looking at near-term opportunities for that partnership, something called Product Placement Plus, advertising alignment and character licensing, and longer-term opportunities for those partnerships in audience growth, location incentives, and talent attraction. And within this report, we've got lots of examples where revenue streams and business models for sustainability relevant content can be made. And one of the things which you're about to hear on this panel is this is already happening. There is a real desire from brands to be able to tell their sustainability story. There's also a desire from brands to help consumers change their behaviors around sustainability in order to be able to use new products and services. I'll give you an example. In Europe, every single beauty company has got to try to encourage consumers to use refills. EU legislation, changing costs, means that shampoo, conditioner, body wash, all of these products are moving to refills. That sounds kind of easy. You could just do that with traditional advertising. The problem is the traditional advertising is not very good at behavior change. It's good at selling product. When you want to actually help a consumer engage in a new behavior with a product, you need to normalize that behavior. You need to make it feel natural. You need to make it feel aspirational. And that's something that the entertainment industry does really well. So in this report, we go through what different brands and different sectors might be able to do in working with the entertainment industry in order to engage around products and around behaviors that can work so well in film and TV and really begin to change behaviors. And we know that this has worked because it's happened before. Many of you might know the story of Cheers. Some of you might be too young to remember Cheers. But Cheers was a very popular show, and Cheers, the show, introduced the concept of designated driver. Deliberately, they introduced it as just a normal thing. Hey, who's the designated driver tonight? They weren't reflecting what was already happening in society. This is a new concept that they introduced in the show in order to help normalize the fact that you should not drink and drive. So as an industry, we've actually been able to really help normalize and encourage behaviors and attitudes and actions that help consumers engage with products in a new way. We can look at how different shows have already done this. We can look at how particular things like character licensing can really help people to connect with products because they're connecting with the characters that they already know and love. We can also look at how governments and policymakers can work with brands and businesses around the location subsidies they're already giving. Later on this afternoon, we've got some policymakers up here on the stage. And I come from London. London really incentivizes people to come and make their shows in London. Like, there's a lot of ways in which London encourages people to film in London. It would be great to see sustainability built into some of those location subsidies. And crucially, this isn't just only about the film and TV shows, the soap operas, the movies, the scripted entertainment that we all love. Unscripted reality shows have perhaps got an even greater opportunity to do this. Lifestyle, cookery, these are all shows which are about our daily lives. And again, coming from the UK, the Great British Bake Off always does a vegan episode. So there's a real opportunity to engage with shows like this. If you've got a great vegan brand, we want to partner in order to be able, if a consumer's enthused and excited by that vegan show in the Great British Bake Off, then they might want to buy your products that enable them to actually be able to cook in that way. And there's these longer-term business models, particularly around talent attraction. We all listened to Mark Ruffalo yesterday speaking at the opening of Solutions House. A lot of the great talent, and we had some of the talent up here just now, in the entertainment industry are passionate about these topics. But this isn't going to happen unless the entertainment industry actually works on being able to show brands that this works. The entertainment industry has got fantastic advertiser partnership teams, and those fantastic advertising partnership teams need to be able to engage with brands like those in this room in order to be able to unlock these commercial opportunities. You can download the report with the QR code. I'll stand to the side so everyone can get it. And you're going to hear a lot of inspiration up on this panel. You're going to hear a lot of great examples. You're going to hear a lot of passion. But we have to be ready to talk about the commercial aspect as well. Every other industry who are here at Climate Week are talking business case, business case, business case. What is the return on investment of us engaging in sustainability? The entertainment industry has the right to do the same and go, what is our return on investment? How do we make fantastic content that reflects the needs of our advertisers and our funders and has a sustainability angle? Is there a way that we can actually draw out and unlock those commercial opportunities? So I think we need to validate the fact that so much of this conversation is about inspiration, passion, and storytelling, but some of it is about money. So it's been my absolute pleasure. Futerra, the Solutions Union, our non-profit, has absolutely loved working with SEA and the SEA members to bring some of these early thoughts around how that commercial opportunity can be partnered. And it is my great pleasure to now hand over to Sam to run a panel that will actually get into this in much more detail. Sam.
Thank you, and thank you to Sally. All right, I am very excited for the conversation we're going to have today. I was chatting with someone this morning about Julia Child, who had a cooking show on television that was sponsored by the American Gas Association. And they provided her a gas stove to cook with on her cooking show and sort of popularize that across the country. And so I think we have the opportunity to throw up our hands at the perniciousness of the oil and gas industry, or we can take a page out of that very successful playbook and see how we can attach that to things that are a little bit more sustainable. So with that in mind, I will bring up our lovely panel. If you guys want to come up on stage, give them a round of applause. Great. Now I'm going to ask you all to just sort of introduce yourself, your role at your company, and sort of what brings you to this work. Kim, I can start with you.
Oh, all right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Burnick, Director of Sustainable Content and Partnerships at NBCUniversal. And my role historically, I've been at the company about 9 years, and I was historically working on all of our behind-the-scenes sustainable production efforts until a few years ago we launched a new program called Greener Light. This came from the idea of, we have this amazing voice and opportunity as an entertainment company to really reach audiences. This is something, like Sally said, our talent cares about, our creatives care about. And so we kind of, did a whole roadshow around Universal and kind of talked to all of our partners, from creative executives to production execs to finance to marketing, and understood where the opportunities could lie. And so I'm excited to be here today to talk more about it.
Thanks, Kim. Nadja?
Super. I'm Nadja Koerner. I lead the global sustainability strategy and team in Coty. For the ones who don't know Coty, we are one of the big beauty companies. We have lots of fragrances: Calvin Klein, Gucci, Burberry, Chloe, you name it, and color cosmetic brands like CoverGirl in the US. And I lead that team for 2 years, but actually my background is in marketing and brand marketing and branding all around the world on different products and brands. And I am really passionate about making sustainability more desirable. I'm working in an industry where it's all about desire, which is beauty. And desirability and sustainability, and bringing that together is not that easy. And as Solitaire said, it requires behavioral change. So very excited to jump into this panel today.
Amazing. Thank you. Anisa.
Thanks, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Anisa Kamadoli Costa, and I have been working in the sustainability and impact space for over 20 plus years at this point. I spent almost 2 decades at Tiffany & Company serving as Chief Sustainability Officer, and I'm now currently at Rivian, the electric vehicle company, and I wear 2 hats: Chief Sustainability Officer at the company and President and Trustee of the Rivian Foundation. And for me, I think my career has been centered around product and, best-in-class product, and weaving in sustainability so that product is first and sustainability is sort of built in at every level. So I'm looking forward to this conversation today, a really important one.
Thanks.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming. My name is Michael Simkin. I'm the co-founder of a production company called Ultra Boom Media. Before that, I co-created a show called Down to Earth on Netflix. And then in our new iteration of the company, we're trying to expand on those kind of shows. We just released a competition show called Next Gen Chef on Netflix, and which has a episode about reusing waste. And so our focus from the beginning of the company actually was to try to work with brands to create great storytelling. And I think that a lot of times that relationship happens very, very late in the process. Like, how can I spend money and get it into something? There are instances where that works, but I think for us, we're really trying to engage brands as well as the networks in a very early phase so that our stuff is seamless and really authentic. Because I think what audiences are looking for more than ever right now is authenticity. And I think if you tell a story that feels authentic and has products and things in it that they can then go do or go buy. I say watching is an interactive sport. Most people are watching a show and have their iPad out or their iPhone out, and it's a real opportunity to get people engaged on a lot of different levels. And I saw the power of it in Down to Earth, and that kind of led us to start this company and focus on trying to do more.
Awesome. And last but not least, Matt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Sexton. I'm Strategy Director of Futerra. I'm not Solitaire Townsend, just to be clear. But as we say in Futerra, you don't have to be a redhead to work here, but it helps. So I think that's why I found him on the panel. I was just thinking, coming on before here, my background before I got into sustainability was commercial. I worked in home enhancement retailing, like Home Depot, but at a sort of pan-European level. And one of the big crazes in the late 90s, early noughties was do-it-yourself and doing up your own home. And that was a nascent trend that existed, but we at the time were happy to shovel money into furthering that culture, because we knew that and basically, what's the line about raising all boats or raising all ships? We knew that if we shoveled money into creating a culture in which people wanted to do up their own homes, then we were going to sell a truckload more product to do it. So I've always kind of been on the side of, pardon my English, selling the arse out of sustainability. Very happy to do so, and that's why it was great to get involved in this report, because actually we can do this job for many, many reasons, but good commercial sense to me can be one of the very best self-sustaining ones we have.
Amazing. Matt, I'm going to stay with you for a second. Futerra does a lot of work at this intersection of sustainability and advertising and brand. From a general perspective, what are you seeing at the moment in terms of brands and people talking about sustainability and how that plays into the advertising field?
I'm seeing, frankly, a degree of caginess about it right now, and that is coming out, a lot. People are nervous about it, I think, for all kinds of reasons. This is a bit of a hot potato as a subject. But I would say that the commercial imperative sort of transcends that. If you look at it, market after market, electric vehicles, heat pumps, climate controls, all of these markets, they're all booming. So the marketplace is there to be made. And I kind of think of, whatever the sort of, the overall debate around this, commercially people are ready to go. I think they're a little bit nervous about greenwash. And so I think there's a couple of barriers, but overall, I would say, in a tight market, we are amidst a green industrial revolution, a green revolution in terms of sustainable living and everything else. So this is still seen as a vast commercial opportunity. I think people want to know that they can do it in a way which is appropriate and safe with regards to telling the truth. But we don't go into numbers in the report, but we talk about telephone numbers. These are bigger than telephone numbers. When you look at what people already spend on product placement, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Character licensing is the same. So I would say that people are ready to go. They're a little nervous about the technicalities of it, but these are gigantic markets, and they are ready to move.
Amazing. Kim, I'm going to come to you next, and Michael sort of nodded to the importance of authenticity in this work. In your role and in the work that you do with Greener, how do you balance that in terms of working with creatives and integrating climate and sustainability into these storylines in an authentic way?
So a big part of our program is partnering with creatives and filmmakers and talent very closely. And the tricky thing, but also the opportunity arises because every single one of our projects, whether it be film or TV, is so unique and so different. And so, part of our program is kind of institutionalizing sustainability across all of our processes through development, production, marketing. But it's going to still look different on every project. And one thing that's really unique about the program is every single one of our Greenlight packages has a page that's dedicated to the sustainability plan for that film. So that's a really great opportunity to kind of continue to remind leadership as they're making these films to think about sustainability. And so whether that be a film that kind of has the environmental themes already woven in, like The Wild Robot or Jurassic or Twisters, or whether it be an animated heist movie like Bad Guys 2, we're kind of finding really fun, creative ways to partner with our creatives. One of the things that we did, we also bring on experts. So development, we get in as early as we possibly can in the development window, and we bring in experts, whether it be NRDC or some of the other amazing folks that you actually heard from today. And we kind of, whether it be a brainstorming session or a script review, we kind of look at those opportunities that might naturally enhance those themes, or why we're here today is find opportunities to kind of normalize sustainable behaviors through placements and brand partnerships. And so one of the opportunities that we often lean into is meeting with our term deals early on. And so one of our term deals that we love to work with is Monkey Paw, which is Jordan Peele's production company. And they actually have a film that just came out called Him. It's in theaters now. So I'm going to cue up a quick video that we just released, I think today. It might be up. This is the world premiere. And this is something that they have always been really passionate about sustainability. And they really embraced the idea of kind of incorporating it from script to screen. And so one of the ideas that they had was partnering with a sustainable brand like Rivian, actually, to both bring on Rivian cars as their production vehicles and as their on-screen picture vehicle. So I will watch the video and then I'll share a little bit more.
Please.
So to dive in a little bit deeper, and I hope you could hear it, but I really want you to go home and blast the audio on your computers because it's a very fun video, and go check out Him in theaters. So that was a really good opportunity, and we see that a lot from the creatives. We have brand partnerships teams, we have product placement teams who we do partner with and are looking for opportunities. But to Michael's point, it's when it's really authentic to the story and to our creatives that the kind of opportunities really face themselves. So like in The Fall Guy, they partnered with GM on having EV Hummers. Or in our film Marry Me, they didn't want any single-use plastic on screen, so they partnered with Swell. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And then I would say to kind of finish this off, there's a ton of opportunities that we find in the marketing of the films as well. So, that was a video that we made that was able to not only talk about the behind-the-scenes efforts, but also the kind of on-screen brand partnerships. We play these videos in theaters. We play them on Peacock often. We play them online. And so that is just kind of one additional way. I think there's so much research done by the folks in the room who show you can have these moments on screen, but if you amplify them on socials or kind of other digital platforms, it really resonates with audiences so much more. And I think the same goes also, we form a lot of partnerships with environmental organizations and things like that to kind of support their mission as well. And so I think, like I said, the opportunities are endless, and it's super fun to be able to work on these projects in that way.
I love that. I love it so much because you're both showing the on-screen marketing of a sustainable brand, but also using sustainability in your marketing of the movie. So it really hits on all fronts. Anisa, this feels like a natural segue into you. I was just watching Highest to Lowest the other weekend, Spike Lee's new movie, and I noticed Denzel hop into a Rivian. We obviously just saw the Rivian in Him. I saw it in Paradise earlier this year. So this is clearly an area of interest for you all. But why is it such an area of interest for Rivian, and sort of what do you see as the opportunities for both getting your brand but also EVs in general on screen?
Thanks, Sam. And Kim, that was a really great video, just sort of a behind-the-scenes peek of what happens. And I think that viewers are increasingly interested in that behind-the-scenes, like the what it takes to produce X, Y, or Z. So, Sam, I would say maybe first just taking a step back. EV adoption obviously has been growing globally, but in the US, it's still 1 out of every 10 cars that are electric vehicles. So that's an interesting sort of statistic, and obviously we hope that that'll continue to grow. But basically, we're in a really significant transformational moment in time. And it's really akin, if you think about it, to when society moved from horse and buggy to the automobile. So this transition from ICE vehicles to electric vehicles. And I think that's worth pausing on, because I think when we're in it, we don't always realize the change that we're a part of. But with this in mind, as Solitaire pointed out many times, I think the biggest opportunity here is to normalize what it means to own an electric vehicle in content, right? So just to have people driving EVs, to show people charging EVs as everyday life, to show that it's not this, this really unique moment. It just will sort of help demystify the new technology that is out there. And I think that the other really important way that entertainment and content can help is by basically showing that there isn't one stereotypical electric vehicle owner. That's really important. I mean, EV owners span geographies, they span generations, they certainly span political divides in categories, and that's an important sort of message to show and just normalize. And then I think the other thing that I would say is that reinforcing what I sort of referenced earlier, and that is that, yes, of course, electric vehicles deliver very real and tangible benefits to people and the planet, but at the end of the day, it's about a superior driving opportunity and moment, right? EVs are just a better drive, a better ride, and yes, they're cleaner. So again, making the product sort of the center and first, and making sure that you layer in sort of the normalizing and sustainability aspect of things.
Yeah, definitely. Nadja, I'm going to come to you next. Obviously, Coty, a company that sustainability is very important for. How do you think about both what and why you're trying to communicate to consumers about that sustainability, and how storytelling like this can sort of play a role in that?
Yep. So let me first ask a question in the room, and that is, you don't need to raise your hand, but maybe just answer for yourselves. How many people have actually thought about sustainability? And what I mean by that is environmental sustainability when you buy a beauty product, a fragrance. Yeah, you did? Okay, maybe because we have here the activists and the sustainability experts in the room, but most consumers haven't. Huh? It's not necessarily the category that is on the forefront of sustainability. And specifically, when you then come into categories like fragrances or color cosmetics, it's all about emotions, as I said before, desirability, self-expression. So the least you think about, but the least you also want to hear about, is sustainability. And that is a real challenge, because quite often, innovations or anything we have to do to transform our products cost more money, so consumers don't want to pay more, blah, blah, blah. So it's all about that behavioral change Solitaire was talking about before. And that requires really to integrate and normalize sustainability in everyday life, right? And that on the one side we are doing, and now I'm going a little bit off here, on the one side we are doing that with retailers, making sure whatever is available in terms of sustainable solutions, especially circularity and refills, right? Not throwing your beautiful, for the lack of a fragrance here, not throwing your beautiful fragrance bottle away, but actually refilling it. So driving that availability is hyper important, but at the same time, and that's why I'm so excited about this topic, is showcasing how normal it can be and how you can integrate it in your life. And I strongly believe via product placement, via also celebrities, creators, influencers, talking more about it, but in a positive way, we can drive real change. Because I'm just coming back to this fragrance example. It's a huge fragrance, I know. It's often beautiful flacons. And what are you doing once it's empty? You're throwing it away. It's a piece of art, and you are throwing this piece of art away. And that needs to change. But that will not change by us telling consumers, don't throw it away, refill it. I think it will happen if they see and get inspired that this is the normal way to do it. So yeah.
Awesome. Michael, I'm coming to you next. So we've heard from a couple great brands interested in this. We've heard from Kim on the sort of studio side. You sit a lot at this intersection. I was curious if you could expand a little bit on sort of when you're making that match, right, between a brand and a product and a show. How do you think about that piece of it, and how does sort of sustainability come into play, whether that's your work with Ultra Boom or on Down to Earth or any of that?
Yeah, so, I think, as I was saying before, like, there's really two phases. Sometimes you're coming in with a brand later in the process, and then you're just trying to work with what you've got and do the best you can do, and that's kind of how Down to Earth was. At that time, that was a while ago, so there wasn't very much chatter about working with brands, especially with Netflix, and we were lucky that they allowed us to, and we found some great sponsorships. But that really, one of the big takeaways I had from that was, after the fact, I just felt like I could have done so much more. I could have had such authentic pieces that could have impacted people in another way. I also learned from that just the cool factor of somebody like Zach doing something is incredibly impactful. And that oftentimes, it's great to have moral and ethical reasons for change. There's a lot of people fighting that fight, and it's incredibly important. It's also a victory for all of us if somebody drives an electric car because it's cool and an awesome vehicle, or because they see Zach do something and want to replicate it, or we are working with brands that are sustainable. So I think what I've focused on a lot more now is how do we bring in brands as early as possible in the process. And a lot of the ideas that we have are even things that we might generate or change greatly for the brand, because brands all have their own goals, right? And I think that at the end of the day, other than creating a great piece of content, if this isn't a piece that achieves something for the brand, that's kind of a fail across the board. So I've learned a lot that when it comes to sustainability, or when it comes to anything, the way that brands measure success are different. And often they're different than the way that I think they would measure success. So the very first question is, what is a win for you, and what are you trying to accomplish? And what story are you trying to tell? And I think, unfortunately, that's not a very common way of working. The more common way is, here's all the products that I have, which one is the closest? Nothing wrong with that, but you can accomplish a ton if you come in on the ground floor together. And it's not only what's in the content itself. What I've learned also is, how can I create value for the brand outside of the piece of content so that that content could be as authentic as possible? So we're working with a large bank on a brand right now, where a series called Off Day that's on YouTube and lives on with Chase on Instagram as well. And the content itself is actually not branded at all. What Chase is joining on is promoting the content and promoting everything around it. So I think when it comes to sustainability, we have massive opportunities to include storylines and honestly create things that are fun and entertaining, while still having a completely different sandbox to play in outside of the content, where we can be more heavy-handed, or where we can tell the behind-the-scenes story like you just saw. Those are very, very impactful pieces to see. And finally, I think it's just looking at it from an entertainment standpoint. Like, emotion is a driver to anything, and there's a lot of anger out there when it comes to issues about sustainability, and a lot of people, rightfully so, that are mad about what's happening. I think there are other emotions that are effective in convincing people as well. Laughter is one of them too. If people are having a good time, they're more likely to be engaged, and ultimately you can take them in a lot of different places. So in the cooking competition show, just something as simple as, we were lucky enough to work with the Culinary Institute of America, and just the ability of bringing in a world expert on baking who uses byproducts. So she uses everything from like old banana peels to the juice of chickpeas. All these things have a chemical value that can be replacements for other things that we use, that not only are good for the environment, but I think she would make the argument will actually make something that tastes better. And so just by showcasing that, people don't know they can do those things if they don't see it. And finally, in Down to Earth, two of the biggest takeaways that I didn't expect is the amount of people that told me that it changed the way that they viewed water. I thought it was going to be the most boring episode by far. If you asked me what was the episode that people would be least interested in, I would have said water, and that shows, once again, that I have no idea what's actually going to resonate, because that was the most popular. And probably the second most thing I heard was, I didn't know it was so easy to grow strawberries. You plant one of them and you can't get rid of the things. And there's nothing that anybody can do that is as strong as you growing your own strawberry and either tasting it and saying, I didn't know strawberries could taste like this is amazing, or tasting it and saying, this is terrible, I can't believe the amount of work that goes into growing a good strawberry. That connection that people have, I learned that we really have the power to drive people towards that. And it was an amazing thing. It changed the course of my life and career to see how impactful that could be. So, it's an exciting time right now that there's this many people and there's so much interest in how can brands be a part of this, because I do think there's so much opportunity.
Yeah, amazing. And I myself love the water episode, so I'm guilty as well.
I guess I'm the only one that, I like it, but.
All right, I'm going to open this up to anyone, but sort of, we've talked a lot about some of the examples that we've seen, but I think there's so much more opportunity here, which is some of what we explored in the guide. But for anyone who wants to jump in, sort of where do you see an opportunity, or what would be a sort of dream collaboration of yours, or anywhere in this sort of green field that you're really excited about? Kim?
I can start. I think, well, Michael said something interesting, which I think I said last year at Climate Week, which is making it cool. I think is so important and such an obvious opportunity. I think one of the kind of areas, that we explore, and sometimes it's already existing in this story, is like the jobs that our characters have. Mm-hmm. So that's, when you have Jurassic and you see a shot up, a rise in interest in paleontology and Twisters, weather science, or you have kind of the love interest in Bridget Jones. He's a garbologist, and he studies waste, and he's attractive. And so those are, that helps. And I think the same can go for the brands or the behaviors that we're seeing on screen as well, whether it be the cars that they're driving or the food that they're eating or, the clothing that they're wearing or the beauty products that they're using. And so I think it's making, meeting people where they are, in a wide range of opportunities. I think, we saw the Bollywood panel earlier talking about kind of the unscripted. I think there's tons of opportunities across both scripted and unscripted, any genre. And opportunities like, I know Love Island, Love Island UK partnered with eBay, and they saw that the use of eBay and kind of clothing reuse shot up exponentially after that. And so I think being creative and kind of thinking outside the box with some of these partnerships can really help move the momentum forward.
Maybe I can build on this.
Yeah.
Just because you were talking about beauty. And beauty, specifically color cosmetics, it's like young women, teenagers are obsessed with color cosmetics. And I think there's a huge opportunity to what you were just saying, to make sustainability cool. In a way, by leveraging entertainment, leveraging maybe also big celebrities, but also creators, and leveraging shows to kind of raise a bit of consciousness, but not, with a finger pointing of you have to do better, but in a cool way. And I think there lies a huge opportunity with the younger generation, and the whole idea about self-expression in a conscious way.
And I would maybe add that, as storytellers, showrunners, and content creators really know best, right? And they they have the imagination to show us how to do things differently, right? Differently than what we've been used to, differently than what we have come to expect. And that's a way where the entertainment industry overall can help people imagine the possibilities with respect to electric vehicles, right? So how is it not just about getting from point A to point B? How can we reimagine the road trip? How do we reimagine charging and what that looks like, right? It's not like going to a gas station. And I know at Rivian, one of the things we're trying to do with our charging outposts, whether it's at Joshua Tree or most recently opened up in the Hamptons, it's like, hammocks, like places for kids to play, good food that is fresh and not, totally prepackaged. So I think that these are the things that this industry can help us sort of show the way before it's even been created, and that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I would say there's two main things that really excite me. One of them is this, the fact that this panel exists and that these conversations are happening now, because I can tell you even 5 or 6 years ago, it was a completely different landscape. And so, comments like that of just like, let's figure out how 1 + 1 can equal 5. You know your brand, you know what you're trying to do, hopefully myself and our team and whatever team we have to bring in can create something that is going to feel different. I think part of the reason that Down to Earth felt different is I came from film. I had never showrun or directed anything in unscripted before, and the truth is I had no idea what I was doing. And what you get in that situation when you come in a little bit fish out of water is you get a different point of view. And I think that we're living in a world where it's advertising and then it's content. And it's why I hate branded content, like the phrase, so much, because it's just content with different tools. Like it doesn't have to be a thing. Like you can make great content and you can just be more deliberate. Everything with unscripted that has a travel element is going to have a car. Like that's a choice that we're making to partner with a specific car, not show the car, blur out the logo, there's so many, those are all choices. So when we have partners in early and we're being deliberate about those choices, there's a lot that we can accomplish. So that's the first thing that excites me. And the second thing was also, Kim mentioned, and I say it all the time too, we got to meet people where they are. And there's never been more ways to meet people where they are. And that's why, at our company we talk about the show is the engine of the car, but it's not the car, or the electric in this instance. But I think it's really important for brands to understand that, and that's not the norm. But it's going to be, and that's that we can create a nucleus that we can then build other things around that can do all sorts of messaging, like that piece that we saw up there. But the nucleus has to appeal to people and be sustainable as a piece of content in and of itself. Nothing's valuable if no one watches it. I mean, that you just have to constantly remind yourself of that. So that's it. There's just so many ways to get to people.
I feel like I've had my dream gig because I'm a massive Formula One fan, and about 5 years ago we worked on Formula One sustainability strategy. And so that was hugely exciting. But the point of that, as I said at the time, like Lewis Hamilton being seen drinking from a reusable water bottle on the grid is going to accomplish more than 1,000 pages of PowerPoint for me. It pains me to say it, but that's true. And next year those cars are going to be running on fossil fuel-free fuel, and they're also going to be 50% electrified. And the point being, if people think that sustainability is slightly wimpy, is slightly dull, next year you're going to see in Formula One that these things can run with massively reduced carbon emissions, loads of noise, sorry Rivian, but loads of noise and power. So that was my dream gig. So, well, what next? I'd like to work with a big music act or something, and specifically, like, hats off to Coldplay. They have done an incredible job. But Coldplay are a bunch of very nice young men who you knew would do this. I'd like to work with some really horrible metal band or something who you really wouldn't expect to do it. So yeah, I don't know. Let's get Slipknot to go green or something like that. That'll be my next dream gig.
Death metal for climate. I like it. I'm going to answer my own question. And one of the things that excites me in sort of getting to see a lot of this work happen across our membership and across this industry is, like, I think audiences are really hungry for this. I think two of the examples from the report that are both hilarious but also really interesting is in succession when Cousin Greg sued Greenpeace because his grandfather had left all his inheritance to Greenpeace in his will, and that caused will bequests to Greenpeace to skyrocket, right? So I don't think that was a paid placement from Greenpeace, but there is this real interest from the audience in figuring out, this is a global warming issue. How do I sort of play a role in this? What can I do? And so seeing that, or in Three Body Problem, where Silent Spring, which was 60 years old at the time, skyrocketed to the top of the bestsellers list because it got talked about in this show. So what that says to me is that there are audiences who are hungry for how they can be more sustainable, how they can engage with this, and film and TV and these sort of shows are a great vessel for accessing that. And I think that, it's easy to see why Denzel hopping into a Rivian makes me want to buy a Rivian. But I think the fact that Cousin Greg suing Greenpeace made a lot of people want to leave money to Greenpeace shows that there's a real hunger for that. I'm going to open it up. We've got about 4 minutes left, so we can take one or two questions from the crowd if anyone's got anything top of mind for our panelists. Yeah, go ahead.
California dude. I just want to say I love Rivian. One thing I didn't mention is
I think we got a mic coming in for you right here.
Oh, hey. Sure. I'm a proud Rivian owner. Already bragged to Solitaire about it. Tri-motor. I'm not ready for the quad. If you haven't test driven the tri-motor Rivian, go do it. 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds.
We don't even know each other, but I love this. Yeah.
And the quad does 0 to 60 in 2.6.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
In action right here.
But what a lot of you probably don't know about the Rivian, I had no clue until my buddy, who also bought one, I got him to buy one. It hoots at you. It makes little bird sounds at you. The turn indicator is a little drum beat from a tree stump. So when you talked about the hammocks and everything else, the behind the scenes of the engineers and the designers at Rivian and what you did alone is worth a 30-minute show. And It's actually one of the happiest moments of my day when I leave my car in the evening and I hear the whoo, whoo. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for making such a great experience. And it is great. And I'm from Chapel Hill, and I drive around, and I have my little Smokey the Bear with a Resist sticker on it. I have, a Ukraine sticker on the back, and I just love the vehicle. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for that. And can I just say, one of the things I loved about everything you just spoke to is he was speaking again about the product, right? He wasn't talking about zero tailpipe emissions. You could have talked about that as well, but you were talking about how much you love the vehicle and the product, and that's what I think we're all working to create, to build. So thank you. You should come work for the company.
Thank you.
Anyone else? We got maybe that one right there.
I'm curious if there are any examples of brands that have inherent IP. Like we saw Barbie was such an influential film, and that was a brand partnership from the beginning. And I know many of you are probably thinking about content that has that already built in. But is there anything you see that's a plastic doll? Is there a way that we could create content that's built around a sustainable brand that has that level of impact that I think Barbie had for women and young girls?
I mean, I think that the nice thing about pretty much every brand is that they are a piece of IP. So the real question is, is the IP of that brand enough to be interesting in and of itself, or do you do something like what they did with Barbie, or even, there's so many examples of that now. I think that that's exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying get in early, because sometimes it might be obvious, or like a Barbie, you might be able to figure it out. But sometimes it really is about getting in there and learning all the stuff I did not know about Rivian. Now I feel like I get one. But just what you're saying, and I agree with you, there is content that exists just around the making of those things, why they're important, why it makes you feel the way that you feel. So I guess what I would say is that, yes, I think every brand has that. And what we're trying to find is a way to mine that. And either it is front and center, or maybe it's a little bit back, depending on how strong that IP is. And, but yeah, I think it's essential to look at it that way and to start from the brand and build out.
Great, maybe one more. We'll come right here in the front. You can just shout it out.
She was asking about the culture. It's the first time she's heard about Rivian. She was asking about the culture and building into the culture as opposed to doom and gloom. What I would say there is it's really fantastic to work for a new company that really is purpose-driven and purpose-built. And what I've seen is that it really attracts an amazing sort of set of colleagues. And as part of that, one of the things I always say is every job at Rivian is an impact job. Every job at Rivian is a climate job, because it's true, right? Whether you're on the design team or the IR team or the formal sustainability team, I feel like we've got every employee out there working to make the company a better place, and in turn, and it sounds cheesy, but in turn, really the world a better place, and you feel that, and it also comes from our founder, RJ Scaringe.
All right. I think joy is a good note to go out on. Please join me in giving it up for our panelists. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you all.
Thank you.